Hi everyone, it's Marisa from bumblebeeapothecary.com, and today I'd like to do another requested video and talk about my fermented dairy and fermented vegetable, basically all my fermented foods, organization and routine that I have to try to make it so that we always have a bit of a variety of all these things on hand at the same time, and so that the ferments themselves are happy and well taken care of. So I want to thank you guys always for watching and for giving me your ideas for what you'd like me to do videos on. I really appreciate that. I love getting video requests from you, so if you have more ideas, please leave me a comment down below and let me know what you would like me to talk about. So the person who requested this video asked particularly about a fermented dairy routine and organization, and so I'm going to talk about that. I'm also going to talk about fermented vegetables as well, because I have figured out some tricks, I guess, to kind of always keep it in rotation and available so that we always have some fermented foods to eat, and a variety is always nice to go with different types of dishes too. So first let's talk about fermented dairy. So this is going to be for us kefir and yogurt. So lately we've really just been having just kefir. Kefir is more powerful when it comes to probiotics. It has a lot more beneficial yeasts in it, and so between the two, it just makes more sense for us to just be keeping kefir going, but I have done both for quite a long time, so I'm going to talk about how I've done that. So for kefir, it stays out on your counter all the time. You can let it hibernate for a little bit in your refrigerator if you're going to be out of town or something, but it's happiest when it's out on the counter being fed frequently. And the frequency for feeding kefir is going to depend on the temperature in your home. In really warm months, it definitely likes to be strained and given new milk every day. In cooler temperatures, it might need to go a couple days or even 3. So I try to adjust the amount that I make at a time, since I'm not always in control of the temperature and how fast it's going to culture. I can control how much I make at a time. So I try to do about a quart each time. If I know that I'm going to need to be straining it and giving it new milk more frequently, like now in the summertime, which is every day, then I'll do more like a cup at a time. So that way I know that I won't run out of milk, because we just have a set amount of raw milk. The dairy doesn't really have any extra for people right now. So I'm a little bit limited that way, so I just make sure that I don't run out of milk this way by controlling the amount that I give at a time. So every day in the warmer months when it's really culturing quickly, I'll strain out those kefir grains, give it new milk, and use like a cup at a time when I put new milk in for it. And then in the winter time, when it can use a couple days or 3, although usually when it's fed pretty frequently and your house isn't too cold, I find that still every day works pretty well for straining kefir. So oftentimes I will do that, but sometimes if I feel like it, I'll feed it more. I'll fill the half-gallon jar all the way full and then let it sit for like 2 or 3 days. Sometimes I'll do that if I feel like doing it in the cooler months. Can't do that in the summer as much because it'll culture too much and need to be strained out. So it's kind of flexible, you can see. You just have to kind of work with your temperatures, work with how much milk you have, how much kefir you're going through, but that's how I do it. And then for yogurt, you're in control of yogurt a little bit more because you put it into a specific temperature in order to culture. It's not just at room temperature and whatever your room temperature happens to be. So with that, it's pretty easy to just make a batch on a more of a schedule. So what I have done for yogurt is to make it once a week. So I decide ahead of time, okay, here's how much of my raw milk that I get every week that I want to put into yogurt. So then I'll just have a day every week that I plan on making yogurt. So by that time, the jar will have maybe a quarter to half a cup of the yogurt still in it. I'll pour in the milk, let that culture for 24 hours, and there's my new batch of yogurt for the following week. So that's how I did yogurt. Once a week, the amount that we would need for the week. I have a video on my channel where I show you how to make kefir. I also have a video where I show you how to make raw milk yogurt that's cultured for 24 hours as is recommended for the GAPS diet. I'll have links to all these related videos down in the description box. Now let's talk about fermented vegetables a little bit. So these take a little bit more thinking ahead. long term. I like letting things like sauerkraut ferment for a really long time. And one of the things that I will do for sauerkraut is I like making it in a big 5-gallon crock. And I like growing the cabbages myself in the garden. Although some years I've not been able to grow them, I couldn't find the starts available, and so I do buy organic cabbages. So I'll get 12 of those at a time, shred them up, pound them, mix the salt in, all that, and make it in a 5-gallon crock. I have a video showing how I make sauerkraut, both on a smaller scale in jars, and then another video showing how I make it in the 5-gallon crock. So then when I have the big, huge 5-gallon thing of sauerkraut, it's easy to let that sit for a good 6 months or so. And I will start taking some out as we need it before then, but a lot of it sits for that long. Now you can do this on a smaller scale too with jars. All you have to do is plan ahead a bit so that you are making some, depending on how much you think that you're going to use up, so that it will be ready and you'll have enough for that length of time. So I don't have like a whole spreadsheet or a super organized mathematical setup for this. I just kind of go by, okay, we're starting to get a little low on this. We still have a good amount, probably a good time to make another batch. Lately, the big 5-gallon crock has not quite been enough for our family, so I do find myself making sauerkraut a couple times a year. I'll make some smaller batches to get us through too. Another hack that I've mentioned in another video is that you can buy organic raw probiotic sauerkraut at Costco. So I will sometimes, if I need to, kind of as a stopgap thing, I'll get some of that and let it sit on the counter for a week or longer and let that ferment, and then I can have that for when I know that I'm going to need a little bit more before I get another batch ready. Basically, that's kind of how I do sauerkraut. I plan on that one big 5-gallon batch and then just kind of keep an eye on how that's going. When I see that, oh, we probably have a few months left of this, then I'll make some more, like several half-gallon jars to get us through until I'm going to make another big, huge batch and get that going. And then for the other smaller ones, those are more seasonal. So I grow cucumbers rather in our garden, and beets, and then at harvest time I'll make jars of those, and then we just kind of use those throughout the rest of the year. And then there's a few other things that I'll make too, like kimchi, and that's more on a once in a while basis because we go through that a little bit less, maybe once or twice a year. I'll make several half-gallon jars of that and keep that in the refrigerator and use that up. But that is pretty much how I do it. So a lot of it is seasonal, once a year type of stuff, getting stuff out of the garden, preserving it for the rest of the year. The sauerkraut, same kind of thing, big 5-gallon thing for most of the year, filling in if I have to. And then for little things like ketchup, relish, kimchi, whatever, I'll probably do those once a year too, just kind of on a not so much seasonal basis, but as I see that I'm going to need them. So I hope that that helps. If you're a really super organized, detailed person and you have the time, you can even make yourself kind of a calendar or spreadsheet and include all these in there. But for me, it usually looks like late summer, early fall time for when I'm making a lot of my stuff, and try to make enough for it to go through the whole year. So hopefully that was helpful. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you have ideas for how you like to keep fermented foods on hand, and if you have a routine or schedule that you'd like to share, I'd love to hear it. Leave me a comment down below and let me know. Also check out that description box for links to free ebooks and other goodies. I also have a free class on getting started with the GAPS diet with more confidence and less confusion. You'll find links to all those things down below. If you did like this video, give it a thumbs up, share it with anybody else who you think would find it helpful, and if you're new to my channel, please hit that subscribe button. I get out 2 new videos every week on nourishing recipes and natural living. Thanks so much for watching. See you next time. Bye.